Welcome to the season premiere of Friends of Barbara, the podcast where we overanalyze ABC's The View. Today we're going to be discussing what's been happening at the table since the ladies returned for the 29th season, from the hot topics, political moments, celebrity guests, and so much more. Grab a snack, settle on in, and let's get into it. It's our season premiere episode, and I'm so happy to be back on the mic to discuss the 29th season of ABC's The View. I have a slightly new format this season. It turns out making an episode every single day is really freaking hard to do. And I just exhausted myself thinking about politics all day, every day, back in March when I had tried to launch this show before. So that's why I've been gone for so long. But I'm back now and will be making an episode every other week. So I should be much more regular and able to discuss this season, season 29, in its entirety. So I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy that you are here. And let's get right into what has been happening with the women of The View at the Hot Topics table. A big part of the reason why I stopped making episodes in the spring was because of a Trump fatigue. I find the moment that we're living in to be very troubling. I find it to be very concerning that so many people voted for Donald Trump and the awful policies that he openly embraced, and that even things that he said that he didn't embrace, such as Project 2025, which everyone around him clearly was embracing. I find it shameful that people wanted more of him, that people wanted to test the limits of every institution and law that we've ever held dear. And it has made my relationship with The View a little challenging because I love the show so much. It brings me so much joy every day, but almost every day there we are talking about Trump, and not necessarily in ways that are often eye-opening or that feel fresh. A lot of times the women are saying things that we've heard them say before, or we're hearing them talk about new topics, but they ultimately have a predictable opinion. There's a lot of agreement amongst the table that Trump is bad, which is an agreement that I share, but it still doesn't make for an exciting viewer experience to hear people agree with me and each other. And of course, just like whenever something terrible in the country happens or the administration supports something, it makes the show very somber and hard to interact with. It can become very emotionally taxing. And I have really practiced over the last 6 months how to have healthier boundaries with it. That's part of the reason why I've given up trying to make daily episodes and I'm going to be doing bi-weekly episodes to hopefully have more regularity. Obviously, the biggest conversation of the season thus far has been the horrific killing of Charlie Kirk. Nobody should ever be a victim of gun violence. It is horrible, it is preventable, and it is wrong. I don't know what the future holds for us as a union. I think that we are deeply divided. I think that this event has further divided us. I think that there are many actors who were against what Charlie Kirk stood for and believed in, who are celebrating it, who are deeply wrong. I would not tell them that they can't feel that way or that they shouldn't feel that way, but in my opinion, it is wrong to revel in anyone's passing, even if it's ultimately for a cause that they advocated for. It doesn't make it just to me. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't bring me joy in any way. And even though Charlie Kirk openly did not believe in something like empathy, I do believe in empathy, and I have a lot of empathy for even people who probably would hate me. And I feel terrible for his kids. I can't pretend like I don't. And the people for whom that does not matter, um, I have nothing else to say on. We're different. We have a different stance. Um, Friends of Barbara was built to be an uplifting place for everybody to come together. And so I want to hear from all of you. about this topic, but I just ask that we please keep the temperature low, that we share our thoughts openly, but that we do not spew the hatred that may have come from Charlie Kirk in response to Charlie Kirk, if that makes sense. I think it also has just shown how dark so much of the discourse in this country is. Even when we're having discussions about pop culture figures, there's a deep division and animosity and anger in every American. It should be troubling to all of us, and it should be eye-opening to all of us how lost we are. And we all need to start figuring out which ways in our lives we can make decisions to turn the page. We can't change each other's minds overnight, but maybe if we allow ourselves to have a little bit more openness in every direction, even for the things that we disagree with the most, we can get to a place where we at least have a better understanding of each other and a better respect for each other's rights. I disavow everything that Charlie Kirk stood for, but in America, we have the freedom to believe and say what we believe and want to believe. And so I will always fight for the right for people to have opinions that I find to be deplorable. I think that is a strength of our country. And I think that those people should be intellectually honest and that they should fight for my right to have my opinions. And I believe that we all deserve to have civil rights and liberties. And I would hope that even if there are issues for which certain people disagree with, like gay marriage, other LGBTQ issues, that they understand that we all have individual liberty and we all deserve our pursuit of freedom. And even if our opinions go against each other, we should not pass that forth into legislation. And I know it's not going to be overnight. I know it's not going to be anytime soon that we get to a place where the country is healing and that we can stop having these ridiculous fights over what is right and what is wrong. But maybe if we don't give up hope, if we keep embodying that spirit every day, baby step by baby step by baby step, we can get to somewhere positive together for each other. The other most common Trump discussion has been around the Epstein files. The country has a ferocious appetite for information about the Epstein case. We want to know more about Donald Trump's involvement to Epstein. We want to know more about what the victims experienced. And we want to see what the path to justice for those victims is going to look like. And one of the biggest failures of the Trump administration so far, I agree with the women, has been FBI Director Kash Patel. His bringing Ghislaine Maxwell to a more minimum security prison is an abomination on this nation. The fact that we would take that type of a criminal and try to whitewash her on her path to leaving the criminal justice system is deranged. It's disturbed. I can't believe it because we've seen so much of it from the Trump administration and Trump himself. But it will never not just be bewildering to me that the Law and Order Party is supporting a candidate for whom sex trafficking is not a deal breaker. That's still like a place where we can negotiate with them. And it's just disgusting. I am grateful to our friends across the pond who have made such a public protest of Trump and his relationship to Epstein. I'm glad that both liberal Americans and conservative Americans seem to be uniting over this issue of Epstein, that we are not willing to look the other way, at least not the majority of us. I think that this story does still have more legs and that we will be talking about this for some time to come. I hope that we get more answers soon. And I really hope that the victims see justice and that if Donald Trump has any complicity in this crime that Jeffrey Epstein committed, that that is outed and that he faces a fair and free trial in regards to whatever his involvement may have been. That is my hope. And I do have one question for executive producer Brian Tetta. Why was it only today that we discussed the fact that the Senate voted against releasing more information about the Epstein files? I don't understand why this was not a hot topic in and of itself. I know a lot was going on. I know a lot of it involved the Charlie Kirk story, which we discussed at the top of the episode. But that was a big deal that the United States Congress would vote to withhold information that the American people are directly asking for. And I don't understand why the show didn't cover that sooner. And even today, they didn't cover it directly. They only covered it because of these hearings that Kash Patel has been having with Congress. Um, I hope that the show is more on this beat and that it is something that, as new information comes out, the show is getting to in a timely fashion. Moving on from Trump, there have been a lot of big celebrity guests who have come to the table. Queen Latifah, America Ferrera, Robin Wright, Ken Jeong, Michael Urie, Marlon Waynes. A lot of those interviews have been super fun. They've been lighter in the theme, except for poor America Ferrera, who got to discuss everything from Charlie Kirk to 9/11 in a really somber interview. But a lot of the other celebrities have given us a lot to laugh at. Marlon Waynes had me super excited to get to see his new movie, Him, which I already have tickets to and can't wait to see. Robin Wright had a great interview. She is so compelling in her performances, in her opinions, in her stature. I love getting to see her in any capacity. Um, Queen Latifah is always fun to see, and Ken Jeong was hilarious. I mean, his interview had me laughing out loud, hooting and hollering at the TV. Michael Urie, if you haven't seen him yet, is in the cast of Oh Mary right now. He is so good and he's so dreamy in that role, and I love that show so much. Please go buy tickets to see Oh Mary. Do yourself a favor. You will love it. There wasn't too much more that I had to say really about the interviews. I hope to see some more surprising celebrity guests. I would like to see them ask celebrity guests more political questions in a lighthearted way. I would love to see a Republican celebrity. So many celebrities have outed themselves as Republicans, and we haven't had any of them at the table. And I would like to hear from Dennis Quaid. I'm blanking on his name, but the guy from Tangled. There are so many of them who could come to the table and who could debate the women. And I hope to see more of that soon. I would say the two big tentpole interviews that have happened on the show so far were, of course, the second episode right out the gate was Sonia Sotomayor. She was at the table to discuss everything that was going on with the women. And of course, just this week, Joe Manchin was here. I found both of those political interviews to be incredibly dull. They were important, I guess. They, Sonia Sotomayor is a Supreme Court justice. Of course, there's a prestige that comes with having a sitting Supreme Court justice at the table. I appreciate that. I admire Sotomayor. I love seeing her on the show. But to have her be our first interview back just felt a little lackluster. It felt like there were only so many things that she was really able to say about the issues that they discussed. It was nice to hear her talk about and give warning to the fact that there are certain things that Trump is indicating that he might try to do or is considering doing that have never been tested before. So we don't know how strong the Constitution will be because nobody's ever thought to challenge it so directly. And I did think that that was chilling. But ultimately, there's not really anything else that I remember from her interview, and there's almost nothing that I remember from Manchin's interview, despite it being 2 days ago. I get it. He couldn't support Kamala Harris because of the filibuster, but why wasn't there more of a debate around the filibuster? Why didn't we get more specific examples? Why didn't we push him for more specific examples of when the filibuster has served the country? I don't understand why we let these people come and we just let them say whatever they want, even though they're kind of beating around the bush. And then there's no back and forth with the women. If the women do respond, they just shut them down, or we just like go, okay, great, sayonara, and we move on. I think the show desperately needs to bring on some Republican guests. Maybe it would be interesting to see um, AOC, Ilhan Omar, or one of the other Democratic congresswomen come on the show with a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Lauren Boebert and get to see them have an exchange of ideas if the women can't do it with the guests. We just need to find some way to bring on more diverse opinions to the show, even if they're opinions that the overwhelming majority of the audience, myself included, would be disturbed by. We need some excitement on the show. We need something new on the show. The show hasn't had teeth in a really long time, and I really am hoping that we get to see some Republicans come to the table this season. I just want to say, for anybody who has ever attended a public event, a sporting game, whatever it is, and saw a child receive a prize, whether it be a signed piece of memorabilia, a foul ball, whatever it is, if you saw a child having a memory making moment and you thought to yourself as an adult, this is mine, you are sick and disturbed. And you really need therapy. And I'm not one who loves public shaming. I think the ways in which um, the astronomer CEO from a couple months ago at the Coldplay concert, I think the way that we like ruined their lives is sort of concerning. But if you're going to steal a memory from a child, you deserve the public shame, I feel. The woman at the baseball game, the man at the US Open, it's just so sad to see adults be so spineless and like just like little bitches, frankly. It drives me nuts. I'm glad the women talked about it. I'm glad the women shamed those people too. Y'all deserve the shame. You'll deserve people to know that you're cruel to children. And I'm glad that the internet, if it offers us nothing else, is at least exposing you with your pants around your ankles because you people need a wake up call. I would say to them, go get the 5Gs. Good God, girl, get a grip. If you're enjoying this time with me, please go ahead and subscribe, like, do all of the things so that we can keep coming back and having more conversations together. You are a huge part of what will make this show what it can become. So I hope you stick around and that this is an ongoing conversation. One of the big things that I was thinking about all summer long was how the View was going to shake up the table. I really believed that Whoopi Goldberg was going to depart the show. I, based off her booking obligations in the UK, she had a couple of comedy dates around when I thought the show would return for the season premiere. It ended up coming back later. She's going to be doing some guest work on a Italian soap opera. There were just a lot of indications to me that perhaps Whoopi was going to be spending more time in Europe. There was no official announcement that the table was returning in fall. There were no contract announcements. So I have to say, it was a shock to me when the show came out with those first initial promos that we saw at the very end of August, beginning of September, and the cast was the same. I have not yet been proven wrong that it was time for Whoopi to leave. So far, I have not been impressed by anything that she's done on the show. Of course, I love Whoopi Goldberg. She's one of my favorite actresses. She's one of the most talented people to ever live. And I love seeing her on TV, but I have not felt like she's had a fire to be back at the show. I haven't felt her be particularly engaged in the conversations. We've already started hearing her regular this isn't about them, this is about us, and all of that that we just hear her say over and over again. It's already starting to emerge itself. We're already seeing her go back and forth with Brian over whether or not we need to throw it to the commercial. I can't remember if she's had a moment where she's like side-eyed the producers for playing the music over her, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's already happened or if it hasn't, if that's right around the corner. I do think it would have been an exciting change for the show to have a new moderator, even if that were only Joy. Um, but this is the table that we have, and I hope that something can change in Whoopi and that we can see her really be excited about this season. I hope to be able to come on the mic one day and say, I was wrong. Whoopi's back and better than ever. When Whoopi is locked in on The View, there's nobody who does this show better than her. It's just been so many years since I feel like I've seen that Whoopi. And yeah, I hope she comes back to the table soon or decides to leave the table for good. Joy, Sunny, Anna, and Alyssa, I was happy that they were all returning. I think the show needed them, even though all of those women have strengths and weaknesses. I think it would have been a big loss for any one of the four. Sunny really proved that today when she started explaining Adam Schiff's comments to Kash Patel from her experience as a sex crimes prosecutor. I think her legal insight is so important. Joy is hilarious to me. Joy Behar is the View. She is the heart of that show. She brings the humor. She has been there for so long. Um, Anna, I think, is growing stale, but I'm not quite ready to let her go. And especially where she's only on Mondays, Fridays, and the occasional day that somebody else is absent. I don't have a problem with Anna being there. And even the aspects to her that get a little cloying when she repeats everything three times, when she clearly has like had a scripted joke for a few days that she's excited to hit. None of it bothers me to the point that I want Anna to leave. And Alyssa, I think, is a great talk show host. I think she needs to find places where she can be more conservative and where she can disagree with the women more. We need more heat, we need more debate. But ultimately, I think Alyssa is a really strong component of The View right now. And it makes sense to me that she's the longest running conservative, second to only Elizabeth Hasselbeck. She has really figured out how to manage the table well, how to um, not make the audience hate her, how to not be disrespectful to the women. And when she does have a moment where she shares a more conservative viewpoint, it's exciting to hear the women respond to her. I just hope that we get to see more of that coming forward. And if Alyssa is going to majority of the time be agreeing with the Democratic hosts, I hope that we can bring in another Republican at some point down the road who can offer a stronger Republican opinion at the table. Sarah Haynes, I love Sarah, and she's been so good on this show for so long. But I just feel like next to Whoopi, she's the weakest link. She's never offering an opinion that is super strong. She's never initiating debate. She's never really having a strong back and forth in debate, even if someone tries to debate her. I do love her on Behind the Table. She's one of my favorite parts of Behind the Table. But I just think if one of the women has to leave to bring in some fresh perspective, um, it would be Whoopi or Sarah. They just have been doing the same thing for so long, and it's I believe that The View is ready for its next chapter. Brian said, I believe on one of the Behind the Tables, that this is the second longest running stint of hosts where the entire table has been the same. And I think that although the current panel is quite strong and that they all have a friendly chemistry with one another, they don't have the magic that Whoopi, Sherry, Joy, Elizabeth, Barbara had together. That panel could serve for, I think it was 7 seasons, 8 seasons, because it was dynamic. Those women were having big fights every day. They were expressing their true beliefs, unvarnished, And this panel just is not the same. They're too polished. They're too feeling like ABC News to me. They feel like, at their very worst, an extension of GMA. There are moments when the show still feels like The View to me, but there are many episodes where I just feel like this is not your mama's view. And I hope to see the show get to a place where it can just be fiercer, that the debates can be fiercer, that the points of view that are expressed on the show can be strong and firmly held, and that there isn't so much agreement on every issue. And I know that this is not an original criticism, but I'm really desperate for the era of what feels like the View monologue to come to a close. We all know what this is when they go around the table and it's clearly this woman's minute and 20 seconds to speak. And then it's this woman's, and there's no back and forth, there's no conversation. Doesn't feel like there's a fighting to get in to the conversation. Um, yeah, I've seen it, you've seen it. I would be hard to believe that anyone can say that they've never witnessed that on this panel. But if you have, if you love this panel, if you think that they are giving, if they're better than The View has ever been, sound off in the comments below. Tell us why you think this panel is the best. And if you disagree with me, what do you think are the greatest strengths of Whoopi and Sarah that make them unsung heroes at the table? I would love to hear that perspective. Thank you, Brian Tetta, for bringing back Joy Behar's Comedy Corner, even if it was somewhat against your will. I am so excited to see this beloved segment returning to The View. I think that this is a great move, especially in a year that's going to be very dark politically, to be able to have, however frequently we see it, just a light-hearted hang out with Joy and one or two stand-up comedians will be really delightful. I would love to see in some capacity Mario Cantone and Kathy Griffin come to the table to co-host or appear in Joy's Comedy Corner. I think that that would be really exciting, that those are guests who always bring a lot to the show and have both felt to me like they've been gone for some time. So I would love to see Mario Cantone and Kathy Griffin back at The View. I also, in response to Joy's Comedy Corner coming back to the show, something I supported in the Reddit, by the way, I think that the segment that the show had around the Emmys this year was so boring. But it did give me a stroke of genius. Brian Tetta, get your pen. Brian Tetta, attention, please. Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, on The View, doing a segment of what feels like Fashion Police. Maybe you bring on Melissa Rivers, maybe you bring on another stand-up comedian. Let's get jokes, let's get bite, let's talk about these celebrities and what they're wearing. I think that that would be exciting. I think that it would be daring. I think it has the potential to go viral. I think that we need to start thinking about The View as a talk show again, and that the segments need to be more fun. They need to be more creative. I understand you're under the umbrella of ABC News. I respect it, but come on, give us viewers the show we're hoping for. Give us The View. Another segment idea, granted, this one's a little less serious than my Fashion Police idea. We're seeing them appear on Dancing with the Stars. We're seeing them appear on The Bachelorette. I think it would be hilarious and maybe a total flop to see the real lives of Mormon wives cast at the Hot Topics table doing a full round of Hot Topics. I don't know what Taylor and those other less than smart individuals would have to say on current events, but I'd kind of love to know. So if they're available and if ABC and Hulu want to continue this cross promotion, the real lives of Mormon wives women have gone to Dancing with the Stars. They've gone to The Bachelorette. Let's see them on The View next. Another great thing that I need to applaud Brian Tedda and the producers for. Behind the Table with Duos. Premiere week, we saw Sunny and Joy. This week, we've had Alyssa and Sarah. This has made the podcast, to me, must watch TV. It's made it so much more exciting. I loved the Behind the Table podcast the last 2 years. I'm a proud bra guy, but it has made it much more exciting to be able to see two of the women interact. I hope we keep this up all season long. I want to see all different types of dynamics. I hopefully we get to see each woman do an episode with every one of the other women, except for Whoopi, who won't participate for God knows why. Um, but yeah, I love this. I think it's hilarious. Joy and Sunny obviously are really good friends. Alyssa and Sarah seem to be really good friends. I would love to see, say, Alyssa and Anna have a more heavy behind the table where they really have an in-depth back and forth over an issue they disagree on. Like there isn't a reason why these duos have to only be the best friends. Like let's bring the debate into behind the table. Let's hear a little snippet of what the Hot Topics meeting is like between those two women. I think that would be interesting. I know for me, and I'm sure for many other viewers, they would love to see that. No, but seriously, have you liked and subscribed yet? If you haven't, please do that now so we can keep the conversation going when I'm back in maybe 2 weeks, maybe next week, because next week is the sit down interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. She's coming to the table to promote her book, 107 Days, which I've already pre ordered on Apple Books, and I can't wait for this episode. I hope she's there for at least 3 to 4 segments, if not the whole episode. I don't even need a solo Hot Topic. Maybe have her do a Hot Topic segment if you really need to have one. I want to see Whoopi challenge Kamala on the accusations she's making against Biden's team in her book. Whoopi had a lot to say when they discussed the excerpt that's been going around the publications from this book, where Harris writes about how the people around the president never supported her. They never believed that her success was his success. And I would like to see Whoopi have that conversation with Kamala um, face to face, live in person, live on The View. And I look forward to hearing how she feels about her disastrous appearance on The View that has been talked about ad nauseum. When Sunny asked her, what is one thing you would do differently? And she said, not a thing. Um, I can't wait to hear how she's reflected on that moment in the time since. And yeah, I cannot wait to see Vice President Kamala Harris at the table. I think that's going to be a really electric episode. And thank you for having her on. And that's a wrap on our premiere episode of Friends of Barbara. It was such a pleasure getting to chat with all of you today. I will be back here in 2 weeks on Tuesday, September 30th, if not sooner, depending on how good that interview is with Vice President Kamala Harris. And we will discuss everything that has happened from now to then in ABC's The View. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon. I'm wishing you all nothing but the best, and never ever forget to take a little time to enjoy The View.